2, 3. I invite you to close your eyes and bring your awareness into your hands. And notice for a moment, what do you feel happening in your hands? Tingling, very good. Bring your mind, your awareness to your right pinky. And sense whether you can feel tingling there. Now I invite you to bring your awareness to your left thumb. Is there any tingling there? Just note to yourself. And then bring your awareness back to the palms. Notice how much tingling is still perhaps happening in the background. And with your eyes still closed, I invite you to softly rest your hands on your belly and connect to your breath at your belly. And just sense into the gentle rise and fall of your belly with your breath. Good. Someone say another breath. And just check in. How is your belly now? Is it held in? Is it soft? Is it rested? Is there tension or tightness? And if you can, just allow an emoji to pop up into your mind that will best represent how your belly is feeling. Or if you prefer a number, a 1 to 5, 5 is really happy and settled, 1 is really tight and tense. Just notice, without any judgment, what's going on now in your belly. There's no right or wrong response, it just is what is, it's data. And if a judgment comes up into your mind about how your belly is, note it and don't take it too seriously. And then softly allow your eyes to open. And I invite anybody, if you're willing, just to shout out for me what your emoji was or what your number was, just to get a sense of what came up. Would anybody be willing, bold enough, courageous enough to shout out a number and an emoji? 4? Great. 4. So 4 is good. It's a happy tummy, more or less. Great. Anybody else? An emoji or a number? 4. Great. Thank you. You're in the right place. Who else? Nice smile is happening. Yeah? 3, 4. This is so, thank you so much. Take a seat, please. Thank you for playing out so fully. It's, when you're connected to and sensing into your being, and specifically the topic I'm going to share with you today is really about gut health and 3 principles to advance your health and well-being. But it all starts with being connected to yourself and putting your needs on the map. I want to share with you a story. Some time back, a 48-year-old woman came to see me from Netanya, who lived on a penthouse building overlooking the ocean. She was Vaad Habayit, which means she was in charge of the building, the maintenance, and public areas. And she called me up because she had a major digestive issue which required her to be near a bathroom pretty much all the time, a lot of discomfort. She had been through many, many specialists by the time she came to me with a whole list of medications. And I took her through the gut healing program and some of the ideas that I'm going to be sharing with you today. And she called me up and said, this was sort of 12 weeks into the program, she said, Avraham, guess where I am? So I said, on your on your balcony looking over the ocean. She said, actually, no. I'm at the entrance of the building, pruning the roses and geraniums, which you know I love to do. She loved looking after the garden, but for 18 months she wasn't able to go down and enjoy the simple parts of life because of her digestive issue. I personally have been blessed with a sluggish bowel and a challenged bowel, thanks to my dear mother. And all the other good qualities are also from her. And we are blessed with 5 children, and one of those is a dear, dear special needs child who suffers from many challenges, including a gut issue. So I've dedicated my life, and I've traveled extensively around the world for the last 30 years in search of healers to help my daughter, to help my patients, and get some fringe benefits myself. And I've made a lot of mistakes along the way that's cost me time, money, energy, and effort. But at the end of the day, I found people who were honest, had integrity, and I felt I can learn from. And this is some of what I'd like to share with you today. And the gut healing program, which I walked this lady through, resulted in another phone call with a guessing game. And she said to me, "Hi, Avraham, guess where I am today?" And I said, "Pruning the roses." And I was wrong again. She said, "I'm in the mall shopping with friends." And this was the first time in over 2 years. I was so happy because it's possible, no matter what your health challenge is, following a recipe, following a prescription, showing up for yourself consistently, not perfectly. I always tell my patients it's about one thing: progress, not perfection. There is no space for perfection in this health journey through this world, because it just gets in the way and we get tripped up. So I'm going to start off before I share with you my 3 principles. And it's really simple. I'm going to share with you a new paradigm for healing. And it really starts with understanding what functional medicine is. Functional integrated medicine is a model of the following idea. Imagine for a moment that you're all farmers and you're living out in the field, having a wonderful plant-based diet, and you walk into your orchard and you see your apple orchard with a whole bunch of trees, and the apples are doing pretty poorly. Now, you may go over to the apple and put some protective lotions and potions and sprays on it. You may even put a little netting over to protect it. But when you're a smart farmer, you travel through the branches, down to the trunk, down to the roots of the tree, and into the very soil itself. And over there you begin your inquiry. What's the pH like? The acid-base balance? What's the nutrients like? Is there too much water, too little water? Maybe there's a bog growing nearby. Maybe there's a flooding. What is the issue? What is the problem with this apple at the end of the tree? The current medical model, as fantastic and life-saving it is still learning to go back to the roots and always ask the question. And you, as fellow travelers on the health journey, also must be asking that question. What is the root cause of your health issue? If it's asthma, it's eczema, diabetes, it's arthritis, some inflammatory condition, immune disorder, an autoimmune issue. What is the root cause? I had another patient, a 35-year-old Avraham living in Manchester, who had rheumatoid arthritis and diabetes, and was on 65 milligrams of prednisolone, which was literally saving his life. And through the program, he was able to, through his own efforts and eating and nutrition, he was able to get down to 40 milligrams. Long-term use of steroids, as important as they can be, have major challenges that follow in their pathway. And until he actually got to the root of his issues, he wasn't able to get below that 40 milligrams. Taking him through the program and getting to the root of his issue, which lay in the gut, and I'll share with you some of the reasons why that is, he was able to drop his steroids completely, cure his eczema, and go into complete remission. This is possible for an Avraham who has very little education in healthcare, but full trust in his ability to heal with the right guidance. So the invitation here is to continue to probe, continue to ask questions, and not be satisfied with any answers until you are satisfied with what you are hearing. This is a quest, and it's not an overnight journey. It's taken me 30 years plus, and I'm still sitting here taking pictures of the slides, learning and growing all the time. So that's the functional medicine model, which is always looking for the root cause. So a lot of people ask me, Avraham, I don't have a gut problem, I don't have gas issues, I don't have constipation, I don't have heartburn, I don't have dyspepsia, I don't have gut issues. You know, what's your big issue about gut health? And the answer is very simple. 80 to 90% of your immune system is right here in your gut. When your gut microbiome, as Dr. Mann mentioned, is nurtured and looked after through some of the strategies I'm going to share with you, your immune system is strong and happy and robust, and you can pretty much stand up to most things. So there's the physical component of why you want to continue to nurture your gut. And at this event that Deborah and Jen have engineered incredibly, is there are a lot of vendors selling amazing fermented foods. In fact, I bought a couple of kombuchas to compare and contrast, and fermented goodies. I personally have a 10 kilogram sauerkraut keg at home, and each week I'm making sauerkraut and fermented vegetables and all sorts of yummies for myself, for my kids, for my patients. So the second reason, even why you may, if a person does not have a gut issue, want to focus on having a healthy gut, is your brain health, cognition, and most importantly, your emotional equilibrium. What most people don't know is that over 90% of serotonin and over 50% of dopamine is produced here in the microbiome and not in your brain. So I had a patient who was seeing one of the therapists in my clinic who was on antidepressant medication and in therapy and doing amazing until she plateaued out, and her psychiatrist wanted to increase her meds. She didn't want to do that. So she turned to one of the therapists who had watched one of my weekly lectures I give free on Zoom every Monday night. By the way, you're welcome to join. I'll give you some more information about that. Where I spoke about the microbiome, and I spoke about just adding quality fibers into the mix. And my favorite fiber combination is flax seeds, chia seeds, and hemp seeds in equal parts. Grind them up in a coffee grinder at home. I have a special coffee grinder just for my seeds, and then add 1 to 2 tablespoons twice a day. Really simple, really practical. In 3 days, her mood was stabilized without any more meds. Why? Because serotonin and dopamine, majority of those are made in the gut. Yes, my magic formula is chia seed, C-H-I-A, hemp, H-E-M-P, and flax, F-L-A-X, flax seeds. Each of these 3 seeds have specific oils, specific... Okay, welcome to... people are raising their hands. At least there's no oranges and apples and tomatoes that could come in my direction. Everyone's saying there's no hemp seeds in Israel. Well, I've got news for you. There is iHerb. Okay, anyway, I've got 10 kilograms of hemp seed at home. If you've got friends and family living in England, living in the States, find them over. I bought hemp seeds from iHerb. Figure it out. But bottom line is, that's another excellent example of perfection. If you can't have hemp seeds, that's okay. Go with the flax seeds and the chia seeds. If your store has run out of chia seeds, go with the flax seeds. It's about a synergy, but then moving back to every part of incremental change and growth to support your gut health and your brain health is good. Everything else is a bonus.
How much of it did you say?
1 tablespoon twice a day. And when you start to use new fibers in your diet, take some time, add take some time for your gut to get used to it before you increase your dose. But one tablespoon twice a day, sprinkled onto soups and salads or into your favorite drink, is the way to go to add the more fibers, but also help stimulate your microbiome to do its thing and to produce these magical hormones that set you up for success. These hormones stimulate feelings of happiness, of euphoria, of motivation, regulating sleep, regulating appetite. Bottom line, help you feel at your best. Okay? So, I'm going to take some questions afterwards, so let me just run through this because I want to respect the time. So, the old paradigm that I I was following that I now have a new paradigm that I'm inviting you to explore. The old paradigm is doctor-centric. What that means is if there's any issue, you go to the doctor, which I think is still a good idea, but it's the focus of where the doctor is in the equation. And then, depending on how things work out, a person may get medication, prescription for antibiotics, for whatever medications are required. And then if things still are needed more investigation, it could be imaging, surgery, and if things really spin out of control, then there's radiation, chemo, and then when they totally spin out of control, then the doctor says, let's talk about lifestyle and stress, deal with stress, with zero practical steps. I'd like to introduce a new model because that's not working anymore. The new model is what I call self-care is the heart of healthcare. What that means is, as I said in the beginning, showing up is 9/10 of success because it means you prioritizing yourself, whether it's for yourself, your spouse, your kids, your family, your neighbor, your pet, doesn't matter. But the heart of your well-being is self-driven. The best analogy, and I know it's been said many times, but I love it because it works, is just imagine that mother on an aeroplane with her new infant, and there's a drop in cabin pressure, and the instruction is to take the oxygen mask and put it on the baby. No, that's not the instruction. The instruction is to take the oxygen mask and put it on the mommy. Because self-care is the heart of healthcare. When she takes that oxygen and stabilizes herself, she's in the best position to support her baby and her family. And if you look around the room today, it's approximately 95% ladies. And the reason is because in the schus of Noshim Tzidkonius Yigalu, we got out of Mitzrayim then, and we will get out of Mitzrayim today. It's with the driving force of people like Debbie, the people like Jen, and all of you folk, and I'm including the men too, but we far behind. It's the lady folk that are leaving us in the dust. And I just want to give you all a shout out for really making it here and bringing this consciousness into your life personally and into the life of your loved ones. So it starts with self-care being the heart of healthcare. And what that means is you prioritizing your own needs. So many of the women that I'm treating, one of the first things I'm clearing with them is inviting them to put their needs on the map. Their needs are not even featured on the totem pole for whatever reason, socialization, etc. But the invitation is to put them on the top. If the kids are asking for the third helping or even the second helping and you haven't had anything yet to eat, the invitation is have one of the other kids serve them up and you sit down like a mensch and eat your food, shake it nice and calmly and quietly. So I tell all my patients that each one of you is an absolute masterpiece. And what that means is you are a piece of the master. We all have that godly spark within us. And that needs to be expressed by stepping up and putting your needs on the map and making sure your physical needs, your emotional needs, and your spiritual needs are taken care of by yourself and by others if and when needed. This is what I mean by the engine room of health and healing is acknowledging your unique gifts and your unique needs and being open and honest about that in this way. And from your self-care center, you're then moving out to make smart lifestyle choices, getting to bed on time, doing some exercise, bringing some more healthy foods into the home, chucking out the old foods, and making smart food choices. And then, if there is an issue, seeking out a conscious healthcare practitioner, a functional medicine or integrated medical doctor, or someone who's qualified to guide you with a big picture perspective, where they're not only treating the fruit, they're tracing the fruit back to the roots and getting to the root cause of what's going on and constantly asking that question, doctor, what's the root cause here? Why is this happening? And continuing out with that, bringing whole foods and then supplements into your diet, vitamins, minerals, greens, proteins, etc. And then, if needed, medication, surgery, chemo, radiation, if that's a pathway a person is going to take. But these are now relegated to the periphery of this model. The heart of this model is self-care, is the heart of healthcare. Now, I'd like to just introduce you to these 3 principles, and I've distilled this the journey of mine in healthcare down to 3 principles that relates to this topic today about gut health, but also to this plant-based pathway that we are exploring together. Imagine you, let's start like this. I recognize we all come into this world with a beautiful garden, a metaphoric garden, with beautiful plants, fragrant flowers, a beautiful green, luscious, verdant plant garden. And then we turn our back on this garden, and it turns into thorns, it turns into thistles, the neighbor's hedge falls in, or fence falls in, and the other neighbor on the other side takes a shortcut, and now someone's borrowing some of your property and you know nothing about it. What this means on a practical level is a person's health is now compromised. The first step a person needs to do is weed. If you're green thumb, you'll go and do it yourself. If you're not, you're calling your gardener, and you will rip out all those weeds, all those thorns, those thistles, the snakes, the scorpions, the bugs, the critters, the nasty that shouldn't be there. Correct the neighbor's fence, get the other neighbor out of your garden, and just restore your beautiful garden to its pristine, beautiful space. That's called weeding. What that means in the plant-based language is stop eating garbage. Weed the garbage out. Meaning processed foods, processed oils, any oil that doesn't say 100% pure cold pressed, don't bring that into your diet. Now, I want to just say, and I'll talk about this a little bit earlier, I do not believe or endorse radical changes in pretty much anything. It is not wholesome, it's not healthy, they always tend to come back and get a person. It's slow, consistent progress, not perfection. That's the mantra of the day. So bringing awareness to the weeding phase is the best place to start. I do have a food group of foods, what I call fun foods, which when a person is over the 3-month hump, or their biomarkers, their metrics, inflammatory markers, etc., have gone down to normal, and they can begin to have more of these fun foods. But if a person is sick and unhealthy, there's very little room for wiggle room until your markers are down. If it's glucose levels, if it's a CRP, an inflammatory marker, if it's the homocysteine levels, whatever you're tracking, they've got to come down to normal before you bring in the fun foods. You will fast track your healing in the most incredible way. And remember, part of this weeding phase, it takes time. The red blood cells last for 90 to 120 days and they die. That means it takes about 3 months for every single red blood cell in your body to live and a new one to be born. So if you don't feel great within a week of making any changes, or 2 weeks, that's okay. In fact, most people actually feel worse because the body is detoxing. That's okay. But recognize you're looking at a 3-month trajectory of time, because it takes your body time to produce new red blood cells, bathed in the vitality and the nutrients, all the goodies that you are nourishing yourself with. So that's the weed phase. I think I will share a QRC code at the end. It will take you to a gift that I've created specifically for this event. Debbie said she'll send it out as well. It's an ebook I created that goes into much more detail about what are the weed foods that you want to avoid, and then it will also go into detail in the next step of seeding. The gardener back in our garden, he's weeded out all the nasties, and now he's putting in fresh quality soil with nutrients, with fertilizer, balancing the pH. That translates into our diet by bringing in probiotics. Keep it simple. You can either take a probiotic capsule, there are many different forms in the market, or you can make your own sauerkraut or fermented vegetables. You can become a YouTube expert overnight on how to do it. It's very, very simple. Or you can buy some number of vendors upstairs who make probiotic foods and bring them into your diet. Once again, simply, if you're going to have a probiotic, 1 tablespoon once or twice a day for the first 10 days. That will help introduce the flora, the diversity that the gut needs to thrive, and then you can begin to increase more or less depending on what your issues are. But this is the second phase. You've done the weeding, now you're introducing the goodies, the probiotics. And the research has shown that the most important thing about probiotics is diversity. You need a broad spectrum culture in your gut, and they all do something different. There's so much research. There's research, I'll just share one that I spoke about last week on my webinar, that they took patients with rheumatoid arthritis and patients with who are healthy, and they switched out the sample of stool samples that were obviously elements of the microbiome, and those from the RA patients, rheumatoid arthritis patients who got stool samples from healthy people, their microbiome changed, and a lot of their symptoms began to clear up. And the other guys who got the lousy microbiome started to develop joint issues. So there's so many examples of this research coming out. They've done this with rats, they've done it with students, just to give you a sense of how, and there is even a few clinics in the world that do these implants. It's not my pathway, but I want you to know that how important the microbiome is in nourishing and healing your body, whether you have a gut problem or whether you don't. Because, okay, I want to just invite you now to, oops, I went too far. The last part of our trinity here, our trilogy, is the feed part. The feed part is adding in the postbiotics, which are really not only the metabolites from the microbiome itself, but it's also items like vitamin B, vitamin K, and certain amino acids. And these help the entire gut to function optimally. But it begins with weeding, stopping the garbage, seeding, putting in the good stuff, and then feeding with good quality fibers. Now, I'd like for you to just get a sense of where you are right now. You are on the one side of the bridge where you are. Where you want to be is the next step in your health and well-being. And my invitation and really challenge to each one of you right here today, you've taken time and energy and effort to be here today. I invite you to commit to a 7-day experiment, a 7-day journey to take your health to the next level. And I'm going to invite you to do a micro step of just 1%. Take any one of the 3 items I shared, weed, seed, or feed, and commit to yourself of what you'd like to do. If you want to let go of processed oils and bring in good quality oils, or do you want to bring a probiotic into your life, or do you want to add more fiber into your life, or do you want to get to bed earlier? All the components of the weed, seed, and feed. So, research has shown that when you share publicly or with someone next to you what it is you'd like to commit to, you'll be 65% more successful when you do that. And if you want to ramp it up to 95%, then find an accountability partner. Find a buddy that you will WhatsApp or email or call in 7 days' time that will help you be true and real to what you want. So, I'm going to ask you for 5 seconds, to just share with the buddy next to you what it is you want to take on. What do you want to commit to in your health?
Come on, Lily, let's hear.
This is the time now. And remember, it doesn't have to be the perfect thing. What do you want to commit to? You want to start exercising? Do you want to walk? Do you want to go to bed earlier? We got a commitment from Udi to bring flaxseed into his diet. Yay! Who wants to shout out one commitment? Jen, what's yours?
I want to add that mixture of seeds together.
Okay, Jen's going to do the mix. Great, the flaxseed is yours.
caught me off guard. It's very hard to do anything in Israel. I have to say, I want to get back home in my kitchen and not look at all the good things in Israel, but right now exercise because I got to.
Yes. Exercise is the new medicine. It's the most powerful medicine. Thank you, Debbie. So I just want to invite you to understanding how the 7-day journey is going to look. Progress is not a linear model. As soon as you make a commitment to yourself, you're going to be met with tremendous challenge. You'll have ups, you'll have downs, you'll have self-dialogue, inner dialogue that will tell you you're crazy, this is too difficult, it's in Israel, you can't, you have to wait to go until you get back to America, etc., etc. But I do want to point out that this emoji slide of how it really works is an upward trajectory when you let go of perfection. And when you know it's about progress and not perfection. And when you recognize the engine is self-care, is the heart of healthcare, which is a huge amount of self-love, self-acceptance, self-compassion. And when you do that, you'll be able to do it easily and effortlessly. Nearly done. I've created a gut health guide as a gift for today. I think this barcode is working. If it's not, I'll give an updated one to Debbie. And in this, I go into a great detail in terms of what is the weed, what is the seed, what is the feed, the foods to let go of, the foods to increase. And I've got incredible mouth-watering recipes that I actually do at home and my kids make. And if this link doesn't work, Debbie will send out a new one.
Is that your website?
And for those of you who do have a gut issue, for those of you, I'll put that back. For those of you who do have a gut issue, I invite you to reach out to me. Debbie will give you my info at support@avrahamgundle.com, and I can give you some more info about the program and the workshops. Otherwise, I'll see you every Monday night on Zoom for free, where I go on to what I call Mind Body Monday. It's a free 20-minute to 40-minute talk on many health topics, mainly gut health than anything else. I'm going to be speaking in a few weeks' time on H. pylori, and last week I spoke about lactose and gluten and all that stuff and how to navigate difficulties. And if you show up live, you get to ask your gut health questions. So just once again, I want to say thank you, and thank you to Debbie, thank you for Jen and everybody else, and thank you to each one of you for making this